My dear brothers and sisters here at Holy Cross, we continue with St. Paul's second letter to the Corinthians with chapter 4, verse 11. And in this verse, St. Paul says, "For while we live, we are always being given up to death for Jesus' sake, so that the life of Jesus may be made visible in our mortal flesh." Once again, Paul has given us a lot to chew on in this verse. He says, look, you're not just living your life to live your life. You're living your life so that your life might be a sign of what has happened for the whole world. Your life, in fact, your very body, should be a sign of Jesus' own death on the cross and Jesus' resurrection to eternal life. Our flesh, which seems so mortal and brittle, well, Paul says the good news is that it has a divine purpose. And that divine purpose is that it might itself be given up to the death of Jesus. That your very flesh might become a sign of Jesus' own death on the cross, and through that might be a sign of God's life, of God's love, and Jesus' transformation from death on the cross to new life in resurrection. This mortal flesh that we all have, that always seems to ache, that always seems to get older faster than any of us would like, this mortal flesh that we all wrestle with. Paul says the good news is it has a divine purpose. And that purpose is not just to carry us around. That purpose is to be a sign of the good news, the sign of Jesus' death in our mortal flesh, and also the sign of Jesus' resurrection in our flesh. Now, that's an awful lot to ask of our flesh, and I should know I eat too much, and I whittle away my time with frivolous things, and I think about things that I shouldn't think about too much, like my fantasy baseball and football teams. And Paul says, put away that small stuff, and remember that through your flesh, in your flesh, you indeed, if you allow, can be doing the holy, divine work of bearing Jesus' death and resurrection in your flesh. Amen. And God bless.